Okay, guys, this is going to my review of Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator Dark Fate, which is the newest and most likely final film in the Terminator retcon-esque trilogy. Or films, not trilogy, films, whatever, Nabi. I don't know. Because the Terminator franchise is such a weird franchise because I can't think of a franchise that makes two great films, then makes, three straight pretty bad films, then retcons the three bad films, and then makes another film. And then, the first two and the last one are in the same universe, and the others are just retcon. I can't think of another franchise like that. I just can't. So it's such a weird and kind of convoluted thing because I'd constantly have to remind myself of stuff that like when they say something, I'm like, but in Genesis they did this, and I have to constantly remind myself, Genesis ain't in the same universe, and but in Salvation, no, Salvation ain't in this universe. So it's such a weird mix of what should seem to be real in canon, but at the end of the day isn't. Is a very weird mix, and in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, I was very confused about his character because I'm like, is it the same one from Terminator 2? Is it a new version of the same model? Is it the one from this, the third film? Well, you know what I mean? Because I was just confused. They were my assumption is it's the one from '84, but instead of going to '84, he went to 1979. So it's that. So and killing thoughts on them killing off John Connor. It's frustrating because Terminator 2 and Terminator, the first Terminator and Terminator 2 are very very similar to Alien and Alien 2. Where the sequel is a radically different film from the original, but they're both great. Sequel being better than the original. But I love Terminator 2, and so it's frustrating, and quite frankly, pretty infuriating, is that you're left off in this case with them nullifying, in many ways, any accomplishments in Terminator 2. Oh, that Terminator's gone. Oh, they protected John Connor. No, they didn't. Oh, they saved the apocalypse. No, they didn't. And that always frustrated me about every other Terminator film. It was like they saved the day. After 2. Because I'm okay if you nullify the previous film in service of making a better film. So yes, by making Terminator 2 and bringing in another Terminator to kill John Connor, yes, that nullifies any accomplishments in the first Terminator, but at the end of the day, it was in service of a better story and another great story. But here it was kind of let's make another, so it's another film that Terminator Dark Fate is not bad on the level of a Terminator 3, of a Salvation, of a Genesis, but it's retreading old themes and old plot points. Protecting the savior of the universe, the savior of the universe's mother. And it was nice to see Sarah Connor back. It was nice. It was nice. It was nice to have her back. I won't lie. And it was nice to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator back. Yes, those are true. And the new characters are honestly not that bad. The new Terminator was pretty cool. Grace, pretty interesting character. Kind of mix of mix half Terminator, half normal. Okay. And then kind of this girl who doesn't really do much, but yet she has to be the savior. Okay. So I like the new characters, and the main Terminator villain's effects. The main Terminator villain effects are great because it was I think the Terminator films are prime to be great. Not the Terminator films, but the Terminator film effects in terms of because when you think about it, 1991 with the T-1000 or whatever, the melting one, the one who can transform himself into anything, liquid Terminator. Those effects still hold up today. So you can only imagine what they can do with Terminators in modern day. And it was great. It was great to see, like, transforming into two Terminators, kind of, all the spheres and shape-shifting, all that stuff was great. Great effects-wise. But they must have spent a truckload of money on the Terminator visual effects in terms of actually the Terminator itself, that all the other effects seemed a lot less lackluster, a lot more lackluster. Where some of the visual effects, you're like, that explosion looks so fake, going into water is so fake. So I don't know, but I some of the action sequences were great. The first act was kind of whole. It kind of went action sequence, first act, second act, exposition. Like that's kind of what I felt about it. And it was very similar to Terminator Genesis. First act, bunch of action. Second act, all like, what's it called? Exposition with a mini sequence here and there. Third act, back to action. So the action was good, but it was just hard to care about the story because it was just retreading old plot points. Instead of Skynet, it's Legion, and it's like, instead of it being John Connor being the savior, it's Danny, and so it was kind of like, well, all the new elements seemed interesting, but it was like, it was ruined by, we're retreading old plot points. We're revisiting that pond. And I think the Terminator, what sucks about it is the Terminator mythology can be very rich and very detailed, in depth. But they don't do anything with that, I guess, because it's like, they keep staying on that shallow surface of it's hard to describe, but it's just, honestly, I don't think they need to make any more. They made two great films. They made a bunch of so-so films. Then they kind of did a okay film with Dark Fate, but I feel like the concept isn't. I just think is not great for a whole franchise, because the concept is, there's a robot apocalypse. A robot is sent from the past, or from the future, to kill the mother of the leader of the rebellion. Sounds good. And it makes sense for the sequel. The Terminator fails, so they go back a couple years later to kill the son. But a reprogrammed Terminator goes to save the son. That makes sense. But then they keep trying to retread the same plot point. And it only works a couple of times before you realize, can we move on from that? So I think in this innate concept of the idea of, a Terminator from the future going to the past to kill, the savior of the world, makes a great kind of unique concept. But they keep going to that pet pond. They keep going to that well. To the point where I get it. That's the Terminator franchise. It's someone going from someone from the past trying to someone from the future trying to do something in the past that'll change the future, whether it be for a robot apocalypse or whether it be for the better of humanity. So the whole idea of it is someone from the future goes to the past to change the future. But how many times can you go back to the same well of that concept right there? Because it's in this film, it's in Genesis, it's in Salvation. Well, not Salvation's a different story, a little bit. But then Terminator 3, and on and on. It's like, how many times are you going to dwell in that well before it nullifies any accomplishments? Oh yeah, Terminator 1, Kyle Reese, you didn't do shit. That's kind of like the thought process I have. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator. You didn't save John Carter or John. I keep saying John Carter because I watched it. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You didn't save John Connor. He gets killed by your past self or whatever. I don't know. So that's kind of what always frustrated me, even from the core of watching Terminator 3 and 4 and 5. You're like, come on. Because ultimately, a good franchise and a good knows when to end. It knows when to end. It knows that's it. Let's put a pin in it. You know? But I think too often franchise, because again, the problem is it's a business. Films are a business, and so that's why you get Indiana Jones 4 greenlit. That's why you get another billion Star Wars films. That's why you get more and more MCU films. And that's why you get more Pirates of the Caribbean films, and this and this and that. Because the reality is, from a creative standpoint, Indiana Jones, the trilogy was great. Why you need to make another Indiana Jones films? But from a business perspective, Indiana Jones is a beloved franchise. Make another one. Terminator 1, 2, great. But I don't know if you can do enough. I think that this is good. This is a good cap. Oh no, but this makes tons of money and tons of big pop culture significance. Let's make another one. And you're like, okay, because it's on a business aspect. You're thinking, well, and the MCU. I think they should end the MCU after Endgame. I personally thought that, because that's the crescendo. That's the epitome. Everything else would probably be downhill, and everything would probably be downhill. And instead, end the MCU and go with the X-Men instead of bringing the X-Men into the MCU. And so Terminator. But then again, because MCU films practically make $1 billion every film, they're gonna make more and more. Star Wars. After the original trilogy, I was like, that's enough. But they made more of the prequels, but it makes billions of dollars, so they're gonna be like, let's make another trilogy and shows and all that stuff. But on the creative standpoint, it could nullify the stuff. But I still thought this film was good. I'm not gonna lie, it was good. I enjoyed it. I know, screw that. Not good. Okay. On an entertainment level, it was pretty entertaining because the sequences are great and, the characters are interesting. On a actual storytelling, film in terms of the Terminator franchise, the one that gave us Terminator, the one that gave us T2, Judgment Day. But anyways, stay tuned for videos coming at you.